Hey there, Variety here. Welcome to today's video for Brighter Shores, in which we're going to be doing a guide on 10 noob mistakes to avoid in Brighter Shores. So Brighter Shores is about 5 days in, and I think I have about 60 to 70 hours of gameplay. So I've come across a lot of things that I and myself have made mistakes while starting up our Brighter Shores gameplay that today's video will hopefully help you avoid. Okay, so the first tip that I want to talk about is tools. So people see tools and they automatically assume that they need them, so they spend all their silver. Early on, so the first couple hours of gameplay, you're not going to have a lot of silver, so you don't want to spend it on things that you don't need. For example, here is a fishing pole. You'll see this and probably think, hey, I need to buy this immediately. You don't want to do this because unless you're really intending to fish, avoid the tool. This is not the only culprit though. For example, if we go into the woodcutting section, we can see numerous tools. The first tool is the axe, so obviously you need this tool. The second tool is the handsaw, so this will be used to do carpentry, which is obviously something that you need. However, the two-person saw, which allows you to cut down trees as two people, costs like, I think it was like 40-50 silver. You don't use this. The tree loppers is for AFK tasks. You don't use this. So basically, you just wasted 100 silver early on in the game when you only have a couple hundred silver at most anyway, generally. So when you're buying a tool, make sure you absolutely need it for the skill that you're working on, and make sure you don't buy the AFK tools by mistake. Mistake 2 I notice people making is that they're not exploring enough. So the world in Brighter Shores is actually quite gigantic, as you can see. But what people are doing is they're not exploring all of the map. So early on, what I would recommend doing is basically click on the minimap to run to the next zone. And when you go into the new zone, hit your spacebar. And every time you see question marks, click on it and explore. Go through every door in the region, unlock everything. The reason you want to do this is because it helps you learn the map, but not only that, but when you look at the minimap, see all this information here, it tells you, like, for example, what's under the apothecary. It tells you what you can do in there. It tells you the restaurant is over here. So all this information you can come back to and refer to. So this is zone 1, all the way over here, on all this here up to here. So you want to make sure that you unlock everything and explore everything, so it tags the map and unloads all the information that you need to be successful in Brighter Shores. The third mistake I notice people are making is that they're rushing through a lot of skills and they're not getting a skill to level 20. Now, I know as a new player, you probably won't know this, but as we've gotten a little bit further into the game, we've found that the game is more about knowledge points per hour rather than XP per hour. So basically what happens is that when you reach level 20 in a skill, you unlock the knowledge feature. Every time you take an action in a game, so it could be crafting, it could be smithing, it could be cooking, you could kill a mob, you're going to get knowledge points. And these knowledge points can be used to obtain silver or to obtain XP in your other skills. For example, I did combat yesterday in Cretopolis and I leveled up my bone rat from, I think it's level 27 to 39, just off the knowledge XP without having to train it. So it's actually really important. So what I'd recommend doing is when you first get in the game, pick a skill, preferably cooking or combat in my opinion, and level it to 20 to unlock your knowledge points. Your knowledge points will give you XP, silver, unlock AFK tasks. Please note that you can only use knowledge points on skills that are at least level 20. Number 4, fixing your privacy settings. So, I thought that everybody would understand this, but apparently some people do not. When you first get in the game, you need to go into your privacy settings and enter in your birthday, because you need to be over the age, I believe it's 18. If you set a low age, you won't actually be able to talk to other people, and you'll have privacy restricted by a huge portion. So go into your privacy settings and fix that up so you can actually see other people talking. You also want to go down into your control sections, and you can see in here all of your keybinds, which you can change. For example, WASD to move the camera around. It's really important that you go through those. Number 5, enchanting. So silver, which is basically gold in most of the games, can be used very effectively. such as power leveling your classes, but it can also be used to boost your XP. So there's this little place here in the first section called the Enchantress. So if you go to enchant item, what she'll allow you to do is you can click on it and it'll boost your XP from 0% to 0.4% for 55 silver. I have heard of some new players doing this, thinking that, hey, I'll get more XP, level up faster, and that's great. I don't recommend doing this. I would not enchant any items until you're up to like a gold, or until you're in the later zones and you have a better way of making money. Because just like the tools, if you spend your money early, you're not going to be able to use your money on power leveling something like carpentry to unlock something that's really important. Okay, so let's talk about cards and using the profession interface. So when you're leveling up a skill, there's generally a method of using coins to speed it up, or a slower method, and people usually focus on one item. However, the first time that you do an action, you get bonus XP. So for example, if I look up my cooking, which I didn't do all of them, as you can see here, because I was kind of power leveling, but every time you do a new item, you get bonus XP. So for example, the first time you make omelet, it gives you a bunch of bonus XP. The first time you make a vegetable stew, it gives you a bunch of bonus XP. This is the same across all classes. All skills, apologies. So even in combat, you'll have monsters where you can see whether or not you have their cards or not. So you want to make sure that you pick up all of your cards at some point, because it's some bonus XP to help you level up. Side quests. So there are some side quests in the tier 1 zone that some people have gone for and later regretted. So the way that the side quests are set up in this game is that the side quests have really high stat requirements that are kind of unfeasible to get early on in the game. So what I'd recommend doing is the obelisk, because you need to do that. However, I recommend you skipping the other 2 quests in zone 1 and moving on without them, because they just require high skill levels that would keep you in the zone for far too long and quite frankly make the gameplay unenjoyable being in one spot for too long. So we just talked about side quests, so I want to talk about another side quest that is actually important. So there's a side quest called Spider's Nest, in which you're going to unlock in Zone 2. So the Zone 2 is over here. This quest main requirement is level 32 Carpenter, which is quite painful, so many people just, kind of like, hey, I'll just avoid this, right? I don't recommend avoiding it. The reason it's important is because what it's going to do is it's going to give you the ability to teleport stuff into your bank. Now, as you can imagine, that's incredibly important for when you're gathering. What do I mean when I say teleport into your bank? What I mean is by this. So on your map, you're going to see rift stones. This stone right here, right? So you go up to it, you open it, and now I have the ability to teleport stuff back home. So for example, if I ran around here and picked up materials, I could run out here and bank it instead of running all the way back here to bank it every time. It really saves you a lot of time, and it becomes even more important in episode 3. So when you do get to episode 2, I do strongly recommend getting 32 Carpenter and doing the spider quest to unlock your portable banking as soon as possible. So let's talk about unattuned gear. So each zone uses different gear. So think of it as Zone 1 uses Zone 1 gear, Zone 2 uses Zone 2 gear. What you need to understand is unattuned gear. So when you craft, you get unattuned gear, okay? And let's grab this piece of gear here and withdraw it. So right now, I'm in Zone 1, and currently, this weapon can't be used in any zone. So I go up to the obelisk in the zone, and then I tune it. So now this weapon works in Zone 1. If I went to the obelisk in Zone 2 and did this on the obelisk there, the weapon would work in Zone 2. So when you're crafting gear, you can make that gear work in any zone by attuning it to the obelisk that's in that zone. So many people believe that all of your gear kind of resets when you go from zone to zone. It doesn't really, because of the things that you find out in Zone 3 when it comes to crafting all of your gear. If you've watched the video up until this point, you may notice that there are a lot of people running through the zones at all times, and they're able to gather the materials, because each person's materials are not taken by other people, which is a good thing. However, it's not like this for all skills. For example, in combat, there are only a certain amount of mobs in the zone, and if somebody else is in combat, you'll be unable to get into combat, which is really annoying. However, there is kind of a way to get around it. So people kind of just stand there and take the XP loss, which I think is a mistake. I think what you should be doing is you should be adding friends. I don't have anyone online right at this moment, but what you can do is you can click them and you can join their server, and it will move you to a new zone in your area, and you can keep jumping between the zones until you find a combat area that doesn't have people fighting mobs. This will allow you to fight mobs faster, get faster XP, and faster knowledge points. So I'd strongly recommend adding many friends and jumping to their server as much as possible. Okay, that covers the 10 noob mistakes for Brighter Shores. Hopefully this video helped you avoid some of the mistakes that other people have made in the first 4 to 5 days of Brighter Shores launch. Until next time.